explain why Cardano has value in a community. So the only explanation they can give is that I'm some sort of sociopathic, pathological, lying cult leader who's, having everybody drink some sort of digital Kool-Aid for this. Now, look at where the real value comes from: the code, the community, the projects, the papers. That's like the endeavors of thousands of hardworking people, now 2 million in the ecosystem over a 6-year period. But apparently, the critics want to live in this weird reality where a contradiction is true. I'm incompetent, have no technical skills, can't do anything, and I'm not even that smart, not even an academic, according to Molten Tar Monster, all these things. And yet at the same time, I'm hyper charismatic and can mislead the world's top experts to put their brand and reputation and time, their precious time for the last 6 years, into something that doesn't exist. So I'm hyper competent and hyper incompetent, and therefore cult leader. It would be offensive if it wasn't so laughable, if it wasn't so crazy, and just so out there. We built this whole movement on inclusive accountability, your ability to verify truth yourself. Don't trust us, trust the process and the system. Peer review, for example. I tell you who's a cult leader: anybody who says, buy now, and if you don't buy now, you're going to lose out. I'll tell you who's a cult leader: anybody who says, just trust me, we have the most brilliant people. Don't read the papers. Don't have any verification. We don't even need to show you our code. We don't need to show you anything, but just trust us. It's all going to work out. I'll tell you the cult leader: people say we should stay in power forever, and there should be no system in place to create decentralization and community level control. We don't need independent funding sources for the progress of the system. Just trust our foundation and we'll be here forever. That's cult. It's pretty culty. Or people who say there can never be any innovation. Only our protocol is the path to truth. Everything else is a scam and bad. Apparently, the people who say think for yourself, keep an open mind, learn critical thinking skills, those are the bad people, according to the people who have this epithet. So, it is what it is. I'm just a guy. I build stuff. I love my company. I love the people I work with. And we tell everybody what we're going to do. We do it. That's what we're doing right now. And after it's done, we'll write a book about it and say what we did. And if it works, it'll have hundreds of millions of users and it'll speak for itself. And I'll never get an apology, because it's just who these people are. Oh, that was a good question. Mathematically based games. Let me find that. Actually, I like that question. All right. Have you ever considered going vegan? Well, I did consider going. Well, veganism's insanity. It's like you can't even eat milk and cheese. Well, what if I milk the cow myself? And I pet the cow every day, and the cow's a happy cow. No, it's still animal abuse. It's like, okay, vegetarianism, it's not so bad. I think it might be fun to do that for 6 months to a year. With drinking, I do a year on, year off. So this is a wet year. Next year is a dry year. I might do the same for meat, do a vegetarian year and do a non-vegetable year and see how I feel. I've had some health issues here and there, and I kind of work my way through them, and I'm getting better, working out every day. But you know what? It's a process. Do you have a favorite programming language? I like 3 languages in particular. I really enjoy JavaScript. I like Python, and I like Haskell. They all do very different things. If you're doing scientific computing, Python is just unparalleled, and especially with all the R integrations, NumPy and R, and just all of that's great. So if you're a data scientist, these are your meat and potatoes. Your Sage plus your R, great. JavaScript is the lingua franca of the web, and it's just a way of thinking about how to interact with the web, which is very productive. And then Haskell is really just mathematics made into code. It's this pureness about it that is just so beautiful. And it's becoming actually useful because of all the work we've done with Cardano. Actually show you can write real applications. God, it was hard. But now that we've done it, we've trailblazed, and the road looks a lot better. Hey, Charles, what's the meaning of life? Take a look at my answer to that question on the Lex Friedman podcast. All right, let's see here. Been watching your AMAs now for 4 years now. Love them all. Oh, thank you so much. That's really cool. Logan, the lobster. He's back at the office. Logan, the lobster. Do. Are those masks on the wall from all the orgies you've been to? I'm going to have to ask your mom about that. She keeps track of that. Does quantum computing threaten cryptographic security? I don't believe so. There's a question here. Why number theory? Apparently the questions come so quickly that right when I'm just about to click one, I lose it. So I'll have to set some sort of slow mode up. Organization, the industry. How are you planning to handle damage mitigation and the inevitable onslaught of regulation? We're already prepared for it with DIDs and metadata and the way that we've built a very decentralized model and decentralized fundraising. Cardano has really been constructed in a way that regardless of whatever the regulatory regime is, we are, in my view, the best prepared cryptocurrency to handle that, especially in the DeFi space. DeFi was going to get hammered You guys, a lot of these things like Dexis and so forth basically are a regulated financial vehicle. And the only reason that they're not regulated at the moment is the regulator hasn't quite figured out how they want to apply regulation. But it's one of those follow the money type of deals. They'll just start throwing regulation at whoever made the most money and see if it sticks or not. And they probably can get away with it. So there needs to be a completely different mindset about how you handle that reality for DeFi. And we have all these beautiful tools that we've constructed with Prism and the metadata standard and the governance system of Cardano. Like, for example, in Ethereum land, every single DeFi has to figure out how to become a DAO. Once we solve the whole DAOification of Cardano with Catalyst, because of the native multi-asset standard, every single application on Cardano can leverage Catalyst as governance as a service for their community with that same level of decentralization. That's just one of dozens of things that we thought about over the last 6 years and talked about and said, boy, this is coming and so forth. We thought about all of this. Our competitors, they're sitting here just like, oh God, what do we do about it? Oh no. And we're just like, oh yeah, we know exactly what to do. We're building our way towards that. It's already happening in parallel with all the other things. So I don't worry about it at all. I really don't. I think it's, it's a minor thing for us, huge thing for them. But don't worry, network effect. Network effect. Move fast and break things. They get the money, you get the bill. Hey, Charles, you have a tractor? I do. Got a Massey Ferguson. Got some John Deeres. Got a few things. Is IOHK struggling to find good employees? We see so many open positions. No, not at all. We're just growing by leaps and bounds. We're probably going to hire 200 to 300 more people. We're not losing people. We're adding. We might even be at 800 employees, 900 employees. Just there's so much stuff going on. What is that you're drinking? Coffee. Hot, strong, and black. Are you in touch with Gavin Wood? Not really. Every now and then we talk to each other over email, but not really. How does IOHK earn money? It's very simple. People come to us. We sell services. And we make time and materials, some cases equity or other things, from performing development services, transformational services, these types of things. We have product lines like Prism, where we have enterprise stuff we build for it. We have a per user subscription fee we charge. Guess what? We're profitable. We make more than we spend. Go figure. And we're growing like crazy. IOHK and IOG, yes. Input Output Global is the parent company of IOHK. Do you still actively work on Cardano's code base? No, I never have. I've always been in an architecture and business requirement and product owner role in that respect. So we say these are the things that we need, but being a distributed systems engineer is its own domain. You have 15, 20 years of experience, PhD. It's like a big deal. It's like, think of it like you have a primary care physician and you're responsible for the overall health of the patient. And then there's something wrong with a particular organ, like they have a liver problem. So you send them to a specialist, and they go to a hepatologist or a surgeon, and they take care of it. That's kind of the same with me. So I sit at the coordinating role, and I talk about the overall stuff. And then you have subspecialties, cryptographers and distributed systems people and top software engineers, and they do their stuff. Dear Charles, question about the pond versus the ocean. There's also the island, by the way. If you allow programmers to write smart contracts and stuff other than Haskell, don't you lose the benefits of Haskell? Yes, you lose it for that smart contract in that computing model, which is why sidechains is so important, because you can bulkhead sidechains in a way where they don't cascade and create problems for the main network. But that's very astute, which is why you have different computing models. And for high assurance software, you do that in the good languages. Trying to click, and it's just so fast. How exactly are sidechains that allow programming smart contracts in imperative languages compatible with Plutus Core? They're aggregated, they're separated systems. That's the power of sidechains. That was the point of the original architecture of Cardano, which other people with Polkadot and Parachains and Eth2 had been chasing. We were first to market to publish this model. You say you have a settlement layer, which is your root of trust of the system, and that's built with a certified core, so you know it works really, really well. And then you have sidechain protocol that allows you to move information and value between these sidechains, and you use the root of trust at the base level to bootstrap high performance permission sidechains. And those sidechains run different computing models. They can run account space with EVM, or they could be a Plutus with extended UTXO, but a much faster consensus model. You can do anything you want with sidechains. And what happens is that you interact kind of like through an API, kind of like through REST, you just query, you talk from one chain to the other chain, and you can pull state information from one system to the other system, but you don't have to know how that system's implemented. It's a black box in that respect. That's the power and why this model is so scalable, because you can just launch as many of these things as you want, and it's just the carrying capacity of the system. Okay, and here's a great question. Charles, is there some sort of incentive program for people wishing to contribute to the ecosystem, improving documentation, writing JavaScript SDKs? There are two funding sources, Cardano Foundation and Catalyst. Catalyst has over $1 billion. The foundation has over $1 billion of value. So there's definitely incentive systems. And IO, we're saturated. We're spending tens of millions of dollars fielding a small army of people on our side to build out core infrastructure, but then all the surrounding infrastructure, the foundation has to carry its weight, and Catalyst has already been putting money out for things like Blockfrost and so forth. And that's going to continue and get more aggressive next year. But come January, I'm going to Zurich. We're going to sit down with the foundation. We're going to have a real conversation about Cardano, the open source project, and things like bug bounties and these incentives and infrastructure. Now, you better believe we're going to get very aggressive about making sure that $1 billion gets spent so that it gets into the ecosystem. That's the community's money. Okay, the foundation's for you. They have that money, and they better spend it for you guys. And every month, we'll get louder, community get louder. There's a completely independent board. There's an independent executive. They've approved a $25 million budget for fiscal year 2022. It's time to go. It's time to start moving. We're carrying our weight. It's not a funding problem, by the way. It's like the money is there. It's just a leadership and execution and capacity. And that's a very important thing. Testing. Okay, I think the mic is on. Okay. Hey, Charles, I want to integrate mental health maintenance on the Cardano blockchain. How can my Cambridge research team get to you for a meeting? Well, Igor, you don't have to talk to me to do something. Again, use Catalyst and IdeaScale. This is the best place. There's over 50,000 people that are there to analyze and to mentor and to discuss and debate and get funding to help you get where you need to go. I'm worried about infrastructure, like getting Hydra where it needs to be and the PAB where it needs to be and getting us through the next few HFC events and making sure the open source project builds out and so forth. That said, I do care about mental health, especially how can we find clever ways to incentivize certain things. And one of the areas that I've actually been looking at is how do you use brain-computer interfaces with trusted hardware and a proof of human protocol that Hongsheng came up with to actually create an incentive for people to practice mindfulness meditation. And actually, I'm meeting with several BCI vendors. For example, I think on Monday, I'm meeting with the kernel people. And this is one of the things that will invariably come up. There's just so much amazing BCI technology, and being able to create incentives for people to get into a flow state or into a mindfulness state is a really powerful thing. And that'd be a really cool layer 2 protocol to put onto Cardano. We call it Tranquil or something like that. Are other cryptos stealing Cardano's work accomplished through peer-reviewed papers? You cannot steal a peer-reviewed paper. As long as you cite it and you give attribution to it, you can't steal it. That's the point of open source, and that's the point of these publications. They want to go and implement, all the power to them, and it actually helps us. We learn from that implementation. Yeah, that would be so cool. Yeah, and actually, basically, you have a token model where when you meditate, it's like mining, but it's mining with your mind. It's pretty cool stuff. These are the kinds of things that you can do when you have the right protocols. And so in practice, the user experience would be that you would have a device with a unique hardware ID and trusted hardware connected to a brain-computer interface that's network enabled. Your first step would be doing a puzzle, which would prove that you are a human being, and associate that with the DID of the hardware device for a time period, like an hour, 2 hours, whatever. And then you would synchronize, and then you would play a puzzle, and there would be probably a 2-part game where there would be some agent monitoring the puzzle, and then some agent solving the puzzle, and it's meditation that does that. And then going through that whole process, that interactive protocol will allow you to generate some sort of commitment. And then that commitment would get put onto the Cardano blockchain, so probably a hash of some information. And then what would occur is over a period of time, maybe a few hours or something, there would be an unveiling, and then one of the commitments would be lucky and win that round and get some tokens for that. So it's it's your mining with your mind, and you can kind of join a mining pool, a mind pool, a Scion pool. That's a pretty cool name, and that would basically be the how you'd handle reward variance. So I've been thinking about this for a long time, and it'd be a really cool, fun protocol to implement. And we can easily put it on Cardano. All the mechanics are already there. So Cardano is 100% ready for such a protocol to run on it. And then there's a question of, well, what do you want to solve with these blocks or these types of things? And it's an interesting question. Dear Charles, ribeye versus sirloin. You got to ask, come on, ribeye, son. Ribeye. Like that fat. Medium rare, too. You get that anything over medium, will kick your ass. All right. So let's go ahead and share my screen real quick. Something I want to show you guys. So we used to do the whole Kiva thing. And I really like Kiva. I really enjoy it. But actually, if you take a look at Possessia, this is one of the partners that we've been building with. And so we're building a lot of infrastructure out with Possessia, and we're going to do a blockchain-based reputation system. And we're going to A/B test the NPL rate, the non-performing loan rate, with Possessias on the new system. And hopefully we're actually going to be able to build out an entire microfinance marketplace. They work with a lot of different ventures. They're based in Kenya, and they're starting to scale up. And they're led by a really amazing team. So this right here is Hilda, and she's just a really smart gal. She was a computer scientist and got offered a job at Google, but decided to go to work for Coca-Cola in Kenya instead. And then she did that for a while, and then got into the microfinance businesses and been in the microfinance business for a long time. And she's learned a huge amount. I think she has a phenomenal product. So this is kind of our entry point into there we go. Our entry point into the space, the MFI space, and we'll be able to, I think, build a whole peer-to-peer lending marketplace with them. And it can be an integration that's coming into the Light Wallet that we're building and deploying next year. So that's an example of the DApp ecosystem and marketplace. You know, you build this great infrastructure. You can open up the modules and just decide what you want. You click your DEX and that comes in there. You click your peer-to-peer lending marketplace, that comes in there. All those things are being designed. And we have some great UI UX firms we're working with to kind of figure out how to do these things. And the instruments you'd lend would be things, for example, like JED, because it's a stable coin. And there's actually already in Kenya great infrastructure to convert crypto for less than 1% fees. So you can do stable coins, fast conversion, really fast lending. And the terms of these loans are usually monthly, about 3% per month, which seems high, but it's actually half or a third of the price of conventional microfinance in Kenya. So that is a good example of innovation. And in 2022, we're working our way towards that. Kiva kind of showed the power of these models, and now we can move in that direction. And unlike Kiva, you can actually get a return on these things. So it's really cool to see that people are moving in that direction. And Possessia in particular is one of my favorite ventures. And I just really like the CEO, and I like the team, and I like their outlook, and I just like the innovation that they've done. And they have a continental view. They want to really be Pan-Africa and get everywhere. All right, we'll clip it there. Thank you so much, guys. This was a lot of fun, as always. And I'll see you next week. This is Charles Hoskinson, broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today is November 21st. Get pretty close to Thanksgiving, and it is 2021. And today, Sunday, is AMA Day. So things are kind of moving along. You know, certain countries don't celebrate Thanksgiving. It's kind of an American holiday. Canadian holiday, October, November. Europe, not so much. Asia, not so much. So development continues. People are chugging away, working hard. Us Americans, we're getting ready for a slow week next week, but things looking pretty good. Daedalus 4.5.1 just came out, and we've started a large program for user experience enhancements to Daedalus. We've collected an enormous amount of feedback, and a big priority for a long period of time. We're getting new features out and getting things done correctly. Now for 2022, a big priority is optimization and performance improvements. So we're going to start looking at everything from memory utilization, sync time, and just things that make the application fast, and start integrating that in.